So while that is connecting to YouTube, I'm gonna go over here and try to make sure it's already shared to my page. That way you can easily find it in case anybody wants to
Oh,
see.
okay, I'll share it.
Okay. I'm just gonna get to the main page. That way I can see if anybody comments so we can answer questions if they have any. Okie dokie. I think we cool on my end. You ready?
I am.
We might have a little delay, but we're not gonna let it stop us. I realized that there's a little delay between Zoom and YouTube. Let me put this on vibrate before it interrupt us. Okay. Well, good night to all our viewers, whether you are here with us live or you're watching a replay. Thank you for tuning in. We have the lovely LaToya Williams with us tonight. I am your host, Rochelle Morisha. I am the founder and CEO of Women Helping Encouraging Women. And for the next 2 days after today, we will still be continuing our mini docu-series with our awesome queens discussing the correlation between domestic violence and suicide. Yesterday, we had Keandra Booker, who is strictly all about advocating for and preventing suicide. She gave a little bit of her story, how she became an advocate. And today we have the lovely LaToya that will be sharing her story with us. And we'll be asking her some questions and getting her insight and her input and her suggestions for anybody that may be going through this, that wants to get out of it, or anybody that knows anybody going through this that want to get out of it. And we'll make sure at the end we leave our contact information. When she send it over to me, I'll add it to the description or the chat box in case anybody would like to get a hold of her in the future because she has so many awesome things going on. And I'm sure if y'all join us or catch the replay, you would definitely want to support this queen and get her book because she is a published author. Congratulations, queen.
Thank
I
you.
am proud of you. um, so, like I said last night, like I say all the time, I talk a lot. So, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna give you the floor so you can introduce yourself to them. I know I've posted the bios. I post a bio each day before we all go live, but I'm sure it's best for them to hear about you from you. So,
Yes, I am LaToya Williams, born and raised right here in Toledo. Um, I, like Miss Rochelle said, I am. I just published my a second book, and it's really inspiration, spoken word, encouragement, because I kind of really delved into it from just writing, and so, and I also just 2 days ago I released my new single called Black Girl. So it's
congratulations.
message, it's a message, and I always try to give a message of hope and empowerment, because we go through so many things as people, as women especially, and especially as women of color, you know what I mean. It's just how it is. But I have um learned to just stand in the gap for who I can, and when I need somebody to stand in the gap for me, that's what I'm all about. So we are here, and I don't know where you want me to start with, just how I became an advocate for. Um,
Let's start with what made you want to be a part of this 4-day series.
Well, one thing, being asked, it was just an honor, but also, so I worked in the school system for like 20 years. You know, I had your precious daughter as one of my babies. So. But being there, um, I had to do some difficult things. I had to make some hard decisions. You know, when kids, students would come to me with bruises on them, or come to me crying because they were up all night long because their father or stepfather or mom's boyfriend or mom destroyed the house, threw things over, just enraged for whatever the reason may be. And so I had to make hard decisions, difficult decisions sometimes, and you know inform my school leader or principal, or even call children's services. That's not always an easy decision, an easy task, because one thing that I don't like is for kids to be separated from their parents, because children love their parents. You know what I'm saying? They love their mom, they love their father, but when situations occur and it is hazardous for that child physically, mentally, and emotionally, somebody got to stand up for the child. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
And so that is one of the things that really made me dive into this the way that I am and have such a passion about it, is because I think of a movie. It's called Antoine Fisher, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was with Denzel Washington and Antoine. He had spent his whole life in foster care, and he was sexually abused, and he was verbally abused and physically abused. And Denzel was like his therapist, and he kind of walked him through coping and facing and dealing with the trauma. And he said a line that was so phenomenal. Antoine did. He said, "Who will cry for the little boy?" He was a grown man, and that's where I stand when it comes to this type of situation, because so many children, 9 and 10 years old, commit suicide and take their own lives because they are trapped in situations, and nobody is speaking for the little boy or the little girl. I
right.
understand that adults, we face domestic situations, and we know how it is for us. So how much more for the child that is entrapped and entangled in that situation? So that is one, passion, as you can see, that I have, is to, whatever the help may be, maybe the parent just needs help, you know what I'm saying? But whatever it is, to advocate for that child, that's where I stand. Even now, being out of the classroom, I still, that is still my mission. I'm still commissioned, to do that yet and still.
And we appreciate you. Thank you for caring about our youths and humans in general. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh, so what would you tell someone that see a child in that situation? You know, just some people see something but they don't say anything. So for the people that are afraid, for the people that might see something that they can see is wrong, a parent that's mishandling a child or abusing a child, how can they help that child without physically intervening for the people that are afraid?
Yeah, I get it. We hear that a lot. The one thing that we hear often is, "Why you in my business?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
And
will
it's
say it is.
terrible when we have an eye for it because I'd be walking through Walmart trying to interrupt people like, ma'am, you should probably break up with him, right? I don't like having these eyes sometimes. I swear, I'd be looking like I should just be doing my grocery shopping, but I'll wait till they like separate and sneak on my card. Like, it's terrible. But my bad. You go ahead. You got the
No,
floor.
that's okay. I love the way you said that. Like, man, you should break up with him, right? Like, because it's like we think, and there's a way to approach it, and like I said, it's not always the easiest decision, but it's especially when a child gets to come in your presence and you get to be in that child's space, and eh, when they start to speak up, because some kids won't say anything,
Right.
but kids, well, I've had children say, "Miss Williams, look what my daddy did. He beat me with a charger cord or the buckle of, like, I've had that, and it literally, I had to run to the bathroom and, just cry for that child. But when it's a situation where you feel like you need to intervene, and I've never been in that particular situation where I had to intervene when it was somebody that I did not know or have some type of communication with. You know what I'm saying? But as far as people that I've had, communication with or know on some level or another, I would just say, "Are you okay?" And especially if I see bruises, or the child is talking to me saying that they're. I mean, I've had kids tell me that their parents and grandparents call them out of their names, and it, we sometimes look at the physical aspect of it, the bruises that we see, but the the psychological part of it is even more damaging, because that comes with the humiliation, the isolation, um the put downs, and the making them feel less than anybody or everybody. Like, that physical part, it's easy to take somebody out of a house. Well, it's not that easy, but it's easier to take somebody from a physical place where they're being physically abused. But to get their mind from that physical abuse, you have to feed that mind those empower. Like, I like what you said, and I've read it over and over again, checking the emails. At the bottom, it's something like, you say, like, it's a lot of negative connotations, and I can't remember word for word, but then you said, let's replace those words with "I'm healed," or "you are empowered," or words like that, those affirming words. And
Oh, and my
that's,
signature and my email.
yeah, and your signature, your email, you probably, what are you talking about? But every time I always go all the way down and read that part, because it is empowering. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we break those psychological barriers that are derived from that domestic psychological abuse. And it really, I've seen it take a child that, or even an adult that was right here, and bring them all the way down here. And it is heartbreaking, because as people, we have so much potential in life, we have so much value, but everybody doesn't know that, everybody doesn't see that value in them. And that's one of the reasons that domestic, within the home or within the family, because we got some relatives, I'm sure we all have some relatives, that you have that one aunt or that one uncle or that one cousin that they're your family, but they really don't like you. And they always have something negative to say. You see what I'm saying? That is domestic abuse. That is
Mhm.
psychologically, domestically abusing you. And we have been in situations where we didn't even, I was in a situation, I didn't even realize that I was being domestically abused. I wasn't even being called out of my name. I wasn't even being battered and tattered in a physical way. But it was such a domestically abusive relationship, and I didn't realize it until I snatched myself out of it, because it wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't going anywhere, and it was not feasible for my future, for my life, for my well-being. And sometimes, even in families, they don't even realize the damage that is being caused. You know, um, and one thing that I always ask somebody that is suicidal because of domestic abuse. We always say, well, you have so much to live for. They don't see it like that. You have,
Eh,
just think about the
yeah.
future. Think about your kids are going to grow up. But I have had to ask people, think of one thing right now, just one thing or one reason right now in this moment that you have to live for. Just one. I don't think about next week, next month, next year, none of that. But one, if you can think of one thing right now, and I know you can, that you have to, that's worth living for, that's enough. Because that's part of the
Amen.
problem. They can't, when we are in that situation, we can't grab hold of the future. We feel like the future is a loss. Oh yeah, I have a great future ahead of me. Yeah, but look where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
If
And
you can't make it past today, how can you live for tomorrow?
exactly. But if you can find one thing just one that is worth living for in this moment right now, in this moment at 7:16 p.m. on
Right.
September the 10th, just one thing, it's enough. It's enough. And we'll take it minute by minute, and it has helped me, even if I wasn't in that suicidal state, but it has helped me kind of realign and get myself even back in position. Just think of one thing, you know,
Right.
just, yeah. Is there any questions before I go?
Yeah.
Because I want to.
Before I ask my next question, I'm gonna put in my 2 cents on this topic
Okay.
before we move on. So I have personally, I'm the type, if you see something, say something, do something. I just feel like if I'm gonna preach it, I should live it. I
Yeah.
don't insist on everybody doing what I do simply because we don't all have the same training. My background is in criminal justice. I was initially gonna go into law enforcement. So I've taken
Yeah.
different trainings, I've worked different jobs that's prepared me for if I see situations, do what I need to do, whether it's self-defense classes or whatever. So no, I wouldn't tell somebody that's not comfortable intervening to intervene, but I've personally intervened multiple times. I've had times where I was with my kids. I made sure they were safe. I made sure I told my kids, no, if something happened when I pull over and I'm doing what I need to do, I always make sure there's a safe place for them to leave if we're on the road, because it's happened outside of my mom's house while we was just watching Scooby Doo with the kids. And I'm like, Rochelle, mind your business. Rochelle, mind your business. Watch the cartoon. And I just couldn't, because for me, especially when kids are involved, to
Yeah.
see a
Yeah.
female getting beat on with her child is a problem. I couldn't just sit there and watch it. Or when there's a bunch of kids jumping a child while I'm picking up my kids from Scott. And it's like, okay, maybe somebody else is going to stop. Some cars are going to stop. Those two people are going to cross the street. Maybe somebody can run out of the building. Okay, well, God put me here for a reason. So I just let my kids, you stay safe. You lock the door, son. If you need to pull off because your siblings out of here, call the police. Do not come out to help me. And I need to get out and break that fight up. I can't just watch these kids or people I can't see it. For me, it's see something, say something, do something. I've
Yeah.
never had to, I've never been in a situation with guns, so I can't say what I would do if that happened. I have been called to active situations, and by the time I get there, it was decreased or TPD was on scene, thank God. I can't say
Mm,
what I would do if I'm in one of those situations, but there have been several other situations where I have not seen a weapon where I have personally intervened and try to break it up or whatever the case may be. And also speaking on the emotional and verbal and spiritual abuse without any physical. Those are some things that I've always been very transparent about my life. I just feel like I shouldn't be asking people to stand up for themselves if I'm not going to stand up for myself. So I say what I mean. I mean what I say. I do what I say. I think this year, this month, this week is the first time in my life I'd say something that I might have to go back on my word on. I'm not happy about it. It's a personal situation. I'm not happy about it because normally I say what I mean what I say, and I do what I say. But advocating and parenting is two different things. You know,
yeah.
um, there were some things that I've had to unlearn. I'm Caribbean. Everybody that know me knows that. I'm from the Virgin Islands. My mom didn't have the same resources that I did. And I, to this day, do not blame my mom for anything that she did because she did the best she could with what she knew.
Yeah.
However, I know what I did and didn't like. So I try to do different with my kids. Normally, 97% of the time, I do a great job. But every
Yeah.
now and again, I would get them words off and then I'd be like, I wasn't supposed to handle that like that. And I'll go back and I apologize, because I know better, so I should do better. But I do know that sometimes when we say things, sometimes it hurts more than the lashes that we get or than we give. So I try to be
Yeah.
mindful. I try to teach it. I try to live it. I don't want to just preach it and not be a woman of my word. Sometimes, though, parenting is a little different from advocating or being in relationships. These kids be testing you, and I'll be looking like Jesus Christ. If you don't send all your angels down,
Oh, your
okay.
angels.
Listen, I be needing all them angels because sometimes your parenting is different, especially when you in the field and you doing the work and you being tested at home. It's definitely different, and you really have to. I've heard another advocate say one time she don't think it's right to use her training in her home life. A lot of these trainings we pay for out of pocket. And I don't think we should have the tools just to help strangers and not try to better ourselves as mothers, daughters, sisters, girlfriends, So I try to be mindful of not being a hypocrite. If this is not what I'm going to do to a client or tell one of my clients to do with their children, probably maybe I shouldn't be doing this with my kids. But we
Yeah,
can pretend that sometimes the lines isn't blurred, especially when it's our own kids.
yeah, yeah.
So that's all I had to say about that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want
I
to go
will.
too deep and get off the topic.
Right. But I will say, so I was, I was really referring to like seeing a parent, in public or in, and seeing them handling their child and not really knowing them. But oh yeah, I have definitely intervened when I've seen like teenagers and kids and people and women in situations, and I'll call the police and I'll like, ma'am, are you okay? Are you
Right,
like, do you need a barrier between, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely have, and I have to agree with you. I always tell people one of the greatest things, and my mom is amazing. Okay, anybody that knows her, you see how I light up, but my mom is amazing. One of the greatest things that she has ever given me is an apology.
right.
Absolutely. Growing up, and that's one thing, it wasn't well, I'm the parent, so quite a few times my mother would pull me and I apologize and meant it and gave me a voice. And that's probably why I talk so much today and have so much to say. But I so many times parents stifle and silence their own children,
Hmm.
you know. And so I mean, I don't have children of my own biologically, I just have the thousands that I have taught and educated and nieces and nephews. But even advocating for the child's voice, I think that is very important, because what if somebody is doing something harmful to your child where they won't tell because you're the one who stripped their voice away from them? Give them their voice. We give our children their voices. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And it's
Absolutely.
shown in your voice. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I think it was Alexis Mean put a post today that said the kids that they talk too much on their grade cards or report cards are very powerful today, but that voice, is
Yeah.
so powerful, and apologizing, even, in domestic cases and meaning it. I have a situation that I know someone is kind of going through, and I'm just like, go to counseling with your child. Your child is
Right.
suicidal. Go there with them and let them know I am here with you. And one of the worst things is when you don't have anybody to talk to that you trust and that's what I was going to go to next. It is very important getting out of those situations, because you never know what people know and the access that they have that can help you get out of a situation that you want to get out of, but you don't know how to get out of. I have a really close friend of mine that was in a really bad domestic situation years ago. And I'll say it right here. You need a friend. Talk to somebody. Don't be, because that's why, they'll isolate you to silence you so you don't tell anybody. But if you can find one person that you can talk to, and just to be transparent, like you said, you're very transparent to where you're at and what's taking place and the torment that this woman was going through at the hands of her husband. And I remember one day waking up, and I told her just like this. I said, they had a house together, they bought a house and all of that. And I said, I want you to get away, but I need you to want to get away as much as I
Right.
want you to, because you deserve better. Those words of affirmation build her up. He is not as good as it gets. You deserve better. Your children deserve better.
Right.
And I believe, like you said, be something, do something, say something. I can't remember how you said it, but if you're gonna give somebody something, then give them everything that they need to get out of that situation. And I remember telling this woman, and it's something because she called me yesterday, and she's married now. This was like 10 years ago, but she's married now to a wonderful man that takes excellent care of her. But she was just telling her husband that I was the person in her life that said, I can help you get away. And this woman, I allow her to use my address so she can apply for subsidized housing and move out of town to get out of there, whatever it takes. Well, if we're going to say we're going to do something for somebody, whatever it takes, don't just tell me, but if you can be a helping hand, you know, if you see me malnourished, don't say, oh, you need to eat. Buy me a burger. Buy me a sandwich. Feed me, Seymour, like they said on Little Shop of Horrors. But I believe that if we can see the problem, like you said, we might not have the total solution, but there's something that we cannot just say, but also do to stand in the gap for that person, that individual, a whole family. Now her kids going to college. You saw transformation in her countenance and everything, just because a friend became a bridge that she can walk across. So if we're gonna be it, then we have to be it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Absolutely do. We absolutely do.
And what I'm gonna tell you is I enjoy playing devil's advocate. It's probably not right, but I do it a lot
I do
because
too.
everybody don't look at both sides. There are also the people that show signs, you speak to, you tell them. There are the people that you encourage to speak. There are people that don't have a problem speaking up until it's them. There are people that have the resources, the loved ones, the support system, the people that aren't even isolated, but you just want to do. I mean, how can we help people that don't want to help themselves, that don't have the roadblocks that other people don't even endure? There are some people that are in difficult situations, not by choice. But when you can leave, when you have people willing to help you, when you have people that love you, when you have people saying, listen, we should get you, maybe you should go to therapy, even kids, when you have kids that know, that have a parent that don't have a problem with them speaking to other people, to counselors or teachers, but they still want to hold all this stuff in. We went through things. I know you said you're not a parent, but me and my mom, and some of the people in my support group, we went through things and we intentionally tried to build a different life for our kids and kids around them so that they don't repeat what we go through. And some of these kids, I have a cousin that said, I'm not happy, my mom don't love me because they didn't go through what we went through, because they didn't live in a projects, because they didn't get to walk to school. If my mom ever drove, don't you think we would have taken the ride? I know this is a little off topic. I'm going to bring it back full circle. But when there are people that don't have to go through these situations and they're making the choice to make life harder for themselves, is there anything we can even do for people that can help themselves, that don't have these roadblocks, that just seem like they want to see what a difficult life is like for no reason? Like, how can we help people that just want to go through
I,
stuff that other people are praying and wishing God could pull them out of today?
yeah.
Is there
And that
anything we
question,
can say to people that's trying to help those type of people? Like, I'm really,
yeah, that question remains, because that's something that I don't think any of us will ever understand. How you can have a whole plate in front of you of everything that you love and that you need to be nourished, and sit there with your mouth shut and won't pick up and eat the substance that you need, that is right there in front of you. My grandmother, you could say that you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
that one. Okay.
That's That's the one. You can lead them to the water. All I can do is lead you to the water. But if you don't stretch your neck down, baby, because it's something that you got to do too. If you don't stretch your neck down, open your mouth and take in that water, that life, I've done my part. All
Right.
I can do is
Let
vent.
go and let God.
That's it. That's
Sometimes
it.
there's nothing we can do. It's
Yep.
completely different when we see somebody need help and we're like, okay, let's set up a safety plan. Let's do this. Okay, delete these messages. I'm gonna screenshot them, save them for court. It's different when you gotta help somebody that's in a life or death situation compared to somebody that's putting themselves in a situation to lose their life. Those are opposite ends. Like,
Total
that's
opposite.
beyond what we get in our training. That's beyond what we went through as survivors. I don't even know if therapists can even help at that point.
Yes. Yes. Because even a therapist, even when seeing a therapist, they give you homework. That's something that we have to do. They don't just do it. Matter of
Yeah,
fact, we do more work than what they do. We do more talking than what they do. They're making us do the work. And we don't even realize it. We think they're doing something for us. No, they teaching us how to help ourselves.
exactly.
That's what therapists do. They teach you how to help yourself.
So it boils back to, if you don't want to help yourself, nobody can help you. Because
Nobody.
even with all the praying in the world, there's only so much God could do if you're not putting in any work.
Absolutely.
It's just like when
Absolutely.
we talking about manifesting, you still got to do some work.
You have to do some work. Faith without works is dead. We have to do some work. We have to, and I believe that in this type of situation, there's so much work that yet needs to be done, because so many people that are no longer in even in the seat of domestic abuse, physically, spiritually, like you said. That's something that you put out there earlier, and that is so something that we don't, I'm not going to say we, but the people don't want to touch the spiritual
Right,
aspect of abuse,
right.
domestic spiritually. You know what I'm saying? We might have to do a whole nother segment for that right there, because I can give you a whole decade and then some on
I
that.
know.
But there is, when we get to all of these different kinds of, abuse, the physical, the mental, we can, after we remove them out of the situation, so many kids and adults have PTSD because of that traumatic, that traumatizing situation is so stressful, and it's triggers here and there and everywhere. So, some people relive it even after 10 and 20 years. Something could take you all the way back to that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
You
absolutely.
thought I was done, I was free. I had a situation, and it's not domestically, but it kind of is. So I was kidnapped when I was 14. And it's a little off, but I'm gonna bring it back around, like you said. When I was 14, I was kidnapped. I jumped out of a moving vehicle. I got away. Thank God I escaped. And so I'm so glad about that. But about a month ago, about a month ago, I was going to a store for my mom, and I hadn't been to the store in so many years. This is almost what, 30 years ago that I was kidnapped, almost 30 years ago, literally. And I drove down the street, not even thinking that had gotten kidnapped on. And in that moment, it took me back to that night. And for a minute, I had to snap out of it, like, oh my God. We don't even realize how something has affected us 30 years later. And
Right,
that's how domestic violence and physical, and spiritual abuse works. You can be long gone out of it, but you still recovering. And I tell, that I do, and I've done this work. Creativity, writing, I don't care what it is. That's why one of the worst things they could ever do and could have ever done was taken the arts out of the schools or minimize the arts in the schools. Do you understand what kind of outlet that is for
yes.
people, not just children, adults, the people that teach it? You know what I'm saying? Writing and creativity is so liberating. I have a quote on the back of my book that says, "The artist is without limitation when creativity is expressed." We are all artists in our own way. And
Right,
that creativity is such a gateway for getting our minds out of that bondage. You know what I'm saying? That place of
right,
abuse. So very important. The one thing, when it comes to writing, even if you never publish a book, even if you never share it, write it down. There's so much therapy in writing, not just typing. I'm talking about getting a pen and a piece of
right.
paper. I don't know what it is, but it gets way
It's
down
important.
in you, and it cleanses. For me, it has gotten me through many situations. There's so many things that I've written that I probably would never publish. You know what I'm saying? But it's therapeutic, it's
It really
liberating.
is. It really is. We actually one of my programs is called Dance Remedy. It's a two-part program. So we have liberation dance and we have pet and calaboose. Calaboose means prison. So previously post pre post that's post. So pre-COVID. Okay, making sure I'm using pre. I don't know. Grammar is important. I don't care if we live. I need to make sure I'm using the right terms. We were supposed to be going into the prisons to teach this, which the second half of it is teaching a community. It's called Liberation Dance. I do it once a month, and through the nonprofit it's free. But I've had people inquiring, so I'm gonna be incorporating it into my entertainment business. Of course, it's gonna be for a fee, but it's gonna be different. And we use artistic expression to heal. It's done once a month. We're doing it online for now. We journal, we dance for a few minutes, and we just talk. It's completely separate from our support groups that I run. So I love everything about Liberation Dance. It is a very important piece of what we do for the adults. And even when we ran the youth summer camp, we made sure every single day that we did something artistic. It was so important. We had so many awesome people come through to help the kids. I'm actually going to be going back to school for my bachelor's in arts with a minor in psychology. So I wasn't going to put it out there because I have so much going on. I'm like, do I really want to go back to college? But yes, I'm switching gears up because I was originally going for forensic psychology. I stopped, never completed. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to go back, I need to make it make sense since I'm not at that point in life anymore. But liberation dance is something that maybe you might enjoy. I do it every 21st at 7 p.m. Don't quote me, I'll double check. So maybe that's something you may enjoy. I love it.
Yeah, yes,
It's
that
simply about just enjoying life in that moment. It's a safe place. It's a judgment-free zone. We educate each other, we empower each other, we entertain each other during these sessions, and it's just a good, joyful time. It's just a moment to just feel free.
free freedom is so in every aspect, and that's what even this type of abuse is so like it's such a stronghold. It puts a clinch on who you are, who we are, who we can be, our identity, even involving like every I mean I'm 43 and I feel like I'm evolving all over again and just blossoming all over, because that's what we constantly do. If we're not, then what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Even when you plant a seed and the flowers die, every year they bloom all over again.
Right.
That's how there should constantly be a bloom. But when you have that strict, strong, tight clench of insecurity, humiliation, verbal abuse, physical, how can you blossom and how can you bloom in that? So I love that, and that creativity creates such an avenue to just be free, to just bloom and blossom and grow even more. Shucks, you sometimes you get a new revelation of something that you can do or would like to do, just from that liberty of being able to just, like you said, just dance, just move. And I love to dance. I'll be trying to learn all the hustles and stuff.
That's good. I love dancing. So
Yeah.
the series is about domestic violence and the correlation between suicide. So
Yeah.
when we initially spoke about it, were you were you joining us from a professional or personal standpoint? And do you have interaction with both or either or? Like when you think about
Um,
domestic violence and suicide?
yeah, so just the personal, it's personal to me because I have um a dear aunt that committed suicide, and she was in a bad domestic relationship with a guy who he was married.
My
So it was,
condolences.
yeah, he was it was more of that psychological abuse, and so she suffered, he that mental illness, that roller coaster. Everybody is not born with mental illnesses, but
Right.
we that those chemicals get knocked off because that emotional roller coaster. That's why I don't play with my emotions. You know what I'm saying? And
Peace of
I don't
mind
let
is
no,
too important today.
you understand, nobody else. And so it's real personal to me because she did cry out. She did call someone, and because she had kind of said it before and didn't do it, that didn't take her seriously, and she overdosed and committed suicide. You know what I'm saying? And so and and then I've had a couple other people in my family. So as far as it being directly related to me, um, no, that's not something that I have personally wrestled with, but my life has been touched
That
and
is personal because that is your family, that is your loved
exactly,
one. You,
yeah,
it's important. I don't think people realize just because it's not always direct, those indirect moments can torture parts of us for a very long
dramatic,
time,
yeah,
especially if that was somebody you was extra close with.
dramatic,
And
yeah.
that's one thing that I probably need to start. I need to get better. I do not like this whole social media thing. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm kind of like Eminem and 8 Mile. I'm gonna tell you about me before you could tell me about me. I'm not the best social media type person. It's not my thing. But we do have a support group that's for loved ones of the departed. So a lot of people always think about the survivors, the victims, the children, the women, whoever. But who thinks about the mom that lost the daughter, or Denise that lost the aunt? So we
Yeah.
hoping to do a retreat just for loved ones of the departed, and we're hoping to restart soon. There's someone that's going to be coming on to restart and continue the support group that's just for loved ones of the departed. I know it's not something that all organizations do. I don't know if anybody else that do it, but to me, it's important to have that peace. It's important for those people to have somewhere to go. It's important for the brother that lost his sister to domestic violence to have somebody he could talk to in a safe place without feeling judged, or people looking at him like, oh, you a big wuss, suck it up. Like, no, that's his sister. It's not okay. I don't know why we feel like it's okay to, oh my Lord, where's my human dictionary? I need to be sitting with my son next to me at all times. But I don't like when we just act like men are supposed to just be so super masculine and they can't be emotional, like they don't have feelings, like they are robots. I don't raise my son that way. So it's very important for us to make sure that we take care of the people too that lost loved ones to these heinous crimes. I'm sorry for cutting you off. You were saying, my
No,
apologies,
I
Queen.
absolutely agree because sometimes, it people, because even when you first asked me, and I was like, well, I haven't, you know, sat in the seat of where I had to climb out of that, but my life has been so affected
Surrounded.
by it, and and that's why when I hear kids say stuff like I'm gonna kill myself and stuff, like I don't take it lightly. I take it very seriously because I
Thank you.
have close relatives that has spoke that and they did it, you know what I'm saying? And at first I was thinking like, okay, what do I have? And then I mean, and then God just started to say, oh, you definitely need to, you know share about this because perspectives. There's somebody that could be in the same position that I am in with a loved one and having to deal with that from a whole nother angle. You know what I'm saying? And so it's necessary. I will say this. I had to write a special like spoken word piece. I went to it was a seminar a couple weeks ago for people who suffered their children suffered from gun violence and um, being, killed in the streets. And there were people there that their child had been gone for a month. One lady was 2 weeks, a couple years. One person, it was like 20 years. And the grief was still so prevalent, was like right there in that room. And then there was a professional there that spoke to the people and it was empowering to me, even though I don't have a child that had was victimized in that way, but it was yet empowering. So I even appreciate you for you know reaching out and saying, hey, I need you. I would like for you to come, because if I'm nothing else, I'm an advocate and I stand for life. and justice for children every single day.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I appreciate you. I know you were one of two people that I reached out to. I know the other ladies reach out to me, and I can't wait to talk to them too. But I know having Keandra was important. I saw something you post on Facebook, and I'm like, well, my baby love her. I'm pretty sure the people need to hear this. you know, a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure she'll pop up. I'm surprised she haven't yet because she made it clear. She's like, I need to see my teacher. I'm like,
I
this
need
is
to see.
not your day.
Oh
you
my
know,
God. Who was the first person? I know this is off. I'm sorry, but this is 5 seconds that learned when I was teaching the kids the solfege hand signs. She was the first kid that knew it. She was like, I know it. And I'm like, let me see you do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, Miss Williams, because you got the same last name. So I was just got Miss Williams, Miss Williams, and yeah, it's such an honor, It
she's
really
pretty
is.
amazing too. She is a junior advocate on a board. And I just remember she hates she'd be like, Mommy, stop telling my business. Girl, you ain't got no business. So,
I heard you.
oh, you so nosy. Come tell her hi.
Hi, Miss Williams. I miss you.
All right, go upstairs. So, yeah, sometimes I wonder, is it a blessing or is it a curse? One day she came home from Head Start and she's always a happy person. She was like, Mommy, I said, how was your day today? She was like, Mommy, it was rough today. And I'm looking like, girl, you're 4 years old. What the hell could have went wrong? Like, what's wrong? Like, you ain't even in kindergarten. Like, the hell kind of problems you got? And she was like, my friend got stuck in the bathroom and I couldn't help her out. And it just had me wondering. I'm like, I'm happy that my kids help me, but I always remind them if it's ever too much, please let me know. I recently just told them that they need to get their self into therapy just because, I don't think they realize when you do it so much, everybody unload onto you, your parents, you need somebody to load on to. Also, my two oldest kids looking like, I understand why some of the other kids need therapy, but why I need therapy because I don't want y'all to wait until y'all get to be my age, 38, to realize from helping people all these years now you so angry and y'all just need to learn to start to release. While you on the spiritual journey with me, y'all need to make sure that y'all are doing these self-care activities with me, challenges, whatever the case may be. It's important for us to make sure that we take care of not just ourselves, but those around us. It's important for us to make sure that we're sharing what we learn. I just think it would be selfish for us to have these trained eyes and not teach the neighbors or other relatives how to help other people. It's important for me to have TIC, Teens Inspiring Kids, the youth portion of the organization, because a lot of times the kids don't want to talk to us. So I'm happy that we set it up to be run by youths for youths and that they
Yeah.
have each other and we're just here to guide them. I think the kids have dealt with more suicides than me since starting this organization. You know,
Wow.
teen dating violence. I honestly don't know if they got me beat there when it comes to domestic violence because my phone don't ever stop ringing. I think a lot of kids, when it comes to that portion, they would prefer to reach out to one of my kids more than the other one. And sometimes I have to tell certain kids, you need to let one of your other siblings handle this. It's good to have people you're comfortable with, but depending on who you're pair up with, you will blur the lines and you'll forget you're an advocate. I don't want them forgetting they're youth advocates and start mixing advocacy with friendships because sometimes that happens. So I try to make sure, especially when it's teen dating violence mixed with suicide, that the kids are paired with the right people. Why I feel
Yeah.
like I kind of got off topic. I was like, I know I'm on topic, but I feel like I was supposed to be bringing it back full circle to something here.
But I see what you're saying because it's a fine line between being that bridge to help them get across and then taking the whole burden and carrying it. Being an advocate is not that we're supposed to take that burden and carry it on our weight and on our shoulders, but we're that bridge to help them get from this side to this side. I can't carry the weight.
Absolutely.
Like you said, I will be weighted down, and then the therapist needs a therapist. Even so,
Exactly. My
you know,
mentor got a mentor. you
exactly,
know.
and rightfully So, but I see what you're saying, that we have to separate, even though there is a fine line between that relationship and that friendship, and then advocacy. Like, okay, this is where we're here right now, and right now I just need to get you or help you to get from this side to this side to cross that bridge. So I'm just being a gap filler right now. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I don't want to carry the load. So that's powerful what you're teaching them. It really is.
Yeah. And even advocacy and parenting too. Like I say, I've always been transparent. I'm never going to stop being transparent. I can't really worry about who is going to judge me, talk about me. That's between them and Jesus Christ. That's none of my business. I'm still learning. My oldest is 19, my youngest is 7. None of us never got a manual. So as long as I'm trying to do better and be better every day, there's nothing else I can do. So,
That's right.
one of my kids recently got upset, and I think when people think about domestic violence, domestic abuse, they only think about the physical, but sometimes we have to remember to love on our kids as much as we love on other people's kids. But
That's
at the
right.
same time, your kids better than other people. So when your kid's trying to get over and you also, so when you're trying to be mindful of what you say and what you say is still a problem, so for
Yeah.
for parents watching, I just want y'all to don't ever feel like you can't parent because you got to walk on eggshells. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm never gonna be the parent that sit and I'm already talking about my child slapped me. We are not doing that. We're not doing that.
Oh
Okay.
no.
But
Oh, oh.
we do have to be mindful. We do have to remember, especially when we have more than one child, that all kids think differently. My one daughter was doing something inappropriate, and I said, on the phone, of course, I had no phone when I was growing up. I got my first phone at 19. I bought it myself. It was a flip phone from Virgin Mobile. So I had no phones. So these phones are privileges. It's not mandatory. I got to make sure that you eat, clothes, I have a roof over your head. I don't owe you nothing else. As long as you're happy, healthy, and safe, I owe you nothing else. So taking a phone, I'm not going to second guess when you're putting yourself in situations that I have clients in. So
Yeah.
not just pair to pair, but making sure the lines don't blur between parent and child too. When being an advocate, sometimes that can be a little tricky, because when you
That's
say
true.
something like you acting like a little hoe, but I take it as you being a hoe, like that's not what the heck I said. That's not at all what I said. I apologize that you feel that way, but that's not what I said. And I don't want you
Mm.
to feel like I'm trying to verbally abuse you, emotionally abuse you, or hurt your feelings because that's not what I'm doing. But you're also not going to trick me into not parenting because I don't need my child to go from being my child to being my client.
Yeah. Oh,
People
yeah.
also don't realize the correlation between domestic violence and human trafficking. I don't need my child going from being in the home to now I need to find a human trafficking advocate. Yeah, come on. We people need to understand that there's nothing wrong with running your home with an iron, face, all the good stuff that I used to say when I was a manager. But at the same time, just remember to be mindful that they're humans. They all think differently. Like I said, I'm still personally going through my own situation this week with one of my kids where people that know me personally said, I can't believe you're still going to do this. There was a few things that I canceled. But for whatever reason, God told me to not cancel this. So I'm not canceling this. I'm going to
Yeah.
let go and I'm going to let God. This is one of them situations where, for whatever reason, this was something that I just couldn't cancel. I love my child.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm going to figure it out. But God
Yes.
needed me to be here. Whatever the reason is, whoever it's going to help, I don't know. But the correlation between domestic violence and suicide is important. The fact that some people only think about domestic violence in October is a problem for me. People don't realize February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. September is Suicide Prevention Month. There's a week for bullying, I think, in December. April is what? Child Abuse Prevention Month and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Domestic violence does not just happen in October, it happens year round. And
Yeah.
sometimes this is bigger than us. So I needed to put my personal issues to the side to be here
Mm.
for whoever is watching live or catching the repeat. This is where I needed to be for the people that know me personally that's asking me, why am I still doing this? This is bigger than me. This has nothing to do with me, my child. God will take care of her. God will take care of us. I'm going to do what I was called to do. My children
Wow.
know
And
I love them, but there I needed to be here. So this is where I'm at. There's only 2 more days. I'm gonna be her mother for life. But I could save somebody, I could save another mother heartache today if they catch this live. So I needed to do this. I thank you so much.
You.
I didn't even realize we was going to use up the. I thought we was gonna, when I started thinking about this, I'm like, can we talk for 30 minutes? What are we gonna talk about for 30 minutes? I thought about this last night, tonight. I'm probably gonna wonder this for the next 2 nights. I never thought we would go beyond 30 minutes for either
Wow,
session,
I didn't
but
even
for
realize
whatever
what.
reason, yes, we're almost at an hour again. But before we finish, is there anything that you would like to share, whether it's from a personal or professional standpoint, whether it's directly about the domestic violence, suicide, whether it's something we touch or something we haven't touched. Can you hear me? I don't know what's going on with my
Yeah, I
crazy
can hear you.
phone. Okay,
I
my
see you.
phone is doing crazy stuff. I'm sorry. Is there anything else that you would like to share? Because I could talk forever, so I'm gonna need to shut up. I want to respect your time, and I'm sure people don't want to replay a whole 2 hours of me. And so
I will say this. I will say this. Whether it's in every relationship, in friendships, family, and all of that, um, don't ignore the red flags. Most of the
absolutely,
time, when we look back after we found out ourselves in any type of abusive relationship, whether like we discussed, physical, spiritual, um, psychological, when we look back, now we see all these moments where I say the light bulb came on, the light came on, the light came on. We call them red flags, and we see them, but we kind of second guess ourselves and say, well, no, they don't mean that like that. Well, no, they didn't mean that like that. Well, no, they just concerned about us, or they just care about us, and we don't realize that those little, it's like, it makes me think of a python. And
hmm
it works both ways with with abuse and with suicide. A python snake doesn't just take you and just choke the life out of you, just like snap your neck. But a python snake squeezes slowly, bit by
hmm
bit. And the more you try to break out, then they do a more of a squeeze, more of a squeeze. And when you're in an abusive relationship, you get that little squeeze that you think, oh, that's nothing. And oh, okay. And then before you know it, it's another squeeze that's tighter than the last one. And then, oh, that's nothing. And even with suicide, somebody doesn't just wake up this morning and say, well, I'm just going to jump off this building. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry if
exactly.
that's a trigger for someone. I apologize. But um, it's inch by inch. You have a thought of, well, I'm just gonna do this. Well, I'm just gonna take these pills, or well, no, I'm not. It's that python where you get a little squeeze and then it gets tighter and tighter, and before you know it, then the python, you're suffocated. You're gone. You're gone. And so because we ignore those red flags and second guess ourselves, that's what I would end on. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't second guess
Yeah,
yourself. Intuition and discernment is real, and each and every one of us have a measure of it. But so many times we ignore. Parents ignore when moms ignore when a certain man walk in the room, when their boyfriend walk in the room, and their daughter body language shifts, and she turns her leg a certain kind of way,
absolutely.
or she holds her head down. And then now, after he has physically and sexually abused your daughter, it came out. Now you see that you felt uncomfortable because it shifted the whole energy in the whole room.
Exactly. Energy is real.
It is real, but you ignored. We ignored. So that's the note that I would leave on. Don't ignore the red flags in your children, in your family, in your parents, in your home, on your job, in relationships, friendships, because they're there. They are there. Absolutely.
And to piggyback off of what Miss Williams say, even if it's somebody in the street and you can tell you recognize the signs, feel free to pick up the phone and call 911. Feel free to pick up the phone and call me. Call any of us. We don't mind. If we can help you, we will get you to somebody that can help you. Uh, to tell a quick story, piggybacking off what Miss Williams say, do not ignore the red flags. That's the most important thing. And like I said, like I'm always say, I'm very transparent. I don't think it's fair for me to be able to do the work if I'm not going to be honest about my life. And I don't think that we become advocates. I don't believe the best advocates are their best from just the professional training we get. We have lived through some of these things, and life experience is the best training. One of my kids, I personally think, but that's just based on my training. I personally think stage suicide. She said she attempted suicide. That only person know the truth is her and God. I said that based on the way it was set up. It doesn't matter if I think it was staged, if it was real, if it was fake. She didn't have to go to the hospital. She did. I know some of y'all don't really care about the story. Y'all want to know the backstory. Y'all a little nosy. But for you
Being
nosy
hurt.
people, she's safe. She ain't had to go to the hospital. She ain't had to get pumped. Another reason why I say it was staged based on what I saw. It doesn't matter if it was staged or not. It doesn't matter if she was successful or not. The only thing that matters is that was a cry for help. You telling me that something is wrong. You telling me you need help. You telling me I'm missing something. That's enough for you to take it serious. It doesn't matter if you had to leave the house at 2 a.m. to take your child, your boyfriend, your grandmother to the hospital or not. It's a cry for help. It doesn't matter how big or how small. If anybody show any signs or make any hints or ha ha, there's always a little seriousness in every joke we say. Take it serious, get them the help they need. If you don't know what to do, there's professional help for every single crime you can think about. Again, the text hotline is 741-741. You can text Hope, Help, or Home to 741-741. The phone number is 1-800-273-8255. We will make sure we leave you with those numbers every night. Our phone number is 567-315-8860. 567-315-8860. I will make sure that y'all are able to contact Miss Williams if y'all need to. Please support the Queen. I will make sure she send me the link for her book if y'all want to purchase her book to support her or anything else. Once I have that information, I would either put it in the comment section or edit the description so that you're able to get a hold of her either by email or social media, whatever she shares with me. Thank you so very much for being here, Queen. I can't wait to see the next few queens over the next few days. Again, my condolences. And I
Thank you.
can't wait to work with you again in the future. I know my baby loves you, so I'm pretty sure you're stuck with us for life.
And my little black girl, it's right now it's on iTunes, Deezer, Amazon. You can use it as a filter on TikTok, Facebook. Like it is everywhere. I just released it Wednesday. So it's a powerful message. It is a powerful message. It really is. And so all of those Spotify title, it's there, you know. And so the love and support is endless. And I appreciate you so much. And I thank and I'll
Congratulations
thank you. Thank
on
you. In
all
a
your
couple.
successes.
Thank you. Thank you, Rochelle.
I'm sorry there's a delay. It seems like we're talking over each other, but it's the delay. So I apologize. So yes, anybody that's looking or catching the replay, I will make sure that once I get her information, I post it so you're able to follow her, support her. Thank you all for watching. We have 2 more days with some more awesome, powerful stories. Please feel free to share, like, hit the bell. That's all the stuff that people be saying. Look, I don't keep up with social media. I done told y'all. I'm not into all of this. All the good stuff that my kids keep telling me don't forget to say, do that, please. Because after these next 2 days, that's not going to be the end of it. There are a few more things that we have planned that we would like to share so that when you go to court or whatever the case may be, we can start making sure you understand some of the definitions. You know, a lot of people ask me, what does this mean? What does that mean? So, and a lot of people also said, you're always going live on Facebook, but I'm not always on Facebook, which is why we're using YouTube more. So we'll just start using YouTube because we know once we share it to Facebook, everybody have access to it. So we heard you. We're listening to you. We'll start using YouTube more. Queen, thank you so much again. God bless you. I love you and appreciate you. And you said something about your mom. You said the best thing she could have given you was an apology. So if my mom
Yes.
is ever watching, back then I probably wouldn't say this, and it's really shouldn't be my number one response. I think the discipline really, really helped. I ain't liked it back then. It was probably child abuse back then. I told y'all I'm transparent. Don't play with me. And don't talk about my mom because she's an awesome mom. She's an even better grandma. But
Oh,
nah, to be honest, all joke aside, stop to I play too much. I need to stop playing so much. All joke aside, I think one of the best things my mom could have do for me was always support me. That's why even when I forget some things and I have to remember to watch what I say sometimes. One thing I never stop doing is support my kids because I did some things that I had no business doing, but my mom, it don't matter what it was, she always supported me. If I ever
yeah.
get around to finishing this book that I can't get to page two on, y'all will be able to read it. If not, sorry, I'm gonna take it to the grave. I can't get
I'm gonna
around to finishing this book.
make sure you finish that book. You know, this is my second one actually, so we're gonna get that book finished. We're gonna get it
I gotta get it started. I got page one if that
started.
counts. But yeah, I think the best thing my mom could have ever done for me was always support me. But some of the things that I've done, I swear, it's either gonna be in the book that I ain't got around to continuing, or it's going to my grave.
Mm.
But thank you so much, Queen, and I will see you in the community. We'll stay connected.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yes,
you. Have
ma'am.
a blessed night. Stay safe. I see the war gone mad, so stay safe.
Man.